Quazi here. In today's video, I want to explain to you how quantum physics works in you actually shifting to a different reality, experiencing a completely different reality to the one that you're experiencing right now. By the end of this video, you're going to learn the two main things that will allow you to literally make a shift from this current sector of reality that you're experiencing to a brand new sector of reality where everything just feels unfamiliar. And what you will notice is throughout time, only when you look back will you be able to notice how quickly your life has changed. And a lot of people think it's very, very difficult to do. However, what I'm going to share with you is how it's very, very simple to do. It's actually not very difficult to do. In fact, we're doing it every single day, but the issue is we're shifting realities. We're experiencing a sector of reality unconsciously. Okay, so this video will leave no stone unturned, and you're going to learn two of the main things that will allow you to make a shift into a different sector of reality and learn to stay in it, learn to abide in it. Okay, so with that, let's get started. Okay, so today's video is about quantum manifestation. Now, quantum manifestation, the word quantum, quanta, refers to the smallest particles or smallest element division of entities that can ever exist, right? There's particles, and then when you get into the subatomic realm, that's when quanta comes into play. Quanta is also that which is and that which is not, and the yogis knew this thousands and thousands of years ago when they talked about no thingness, right? The thing that is beyond physical, beyond material. Quantum particles are also known to come into existence, spontaneously manifest, and vanish instantaneously, just as quickly as they have manifested. It appears as though they come from nothing. However, we know that energy can't be created or destroyed. It merely just changes from one form to another. And so, there is no doubt that you've probably heard of dark matter, right? Matter that can't be defined, can't be seen, can't be observed, can't be experienced. However, we know that apparently 90% of our world consists of dark matter, the strange substance or thing that we don't even understand. Dark matter and dark energy, right? Gives me goosebumps thinking about it. So the very first thing we have to understand is to create a reality or to experience a particular sector of reality, there's one prerequisite, one main thing that needs to happen. And that is coherence in heart and mind, coherence in your thoughts and feelings, okay? So right now you are experiencing a particular sector or layer of reality. What's happened is your thoughts and feelings have come together for a specific duration of time. And as these thoughts and feelings have consolidated and have become a habit, a habitual way of living, you have manifested a particular sector of reality. So the reality that you're experiencing right now, where maybe there is never enough money, or maybe you keep hitting a certain obstacle with your relationship or your health, it's because you've been entertaining these thoughts and feelings of, oh, there is never enough money, or maybe there's always just enough money, never an abundance of money, right? One of my clients had that. There's always just enough money to do whatever I want to do. There's never more than enough. Or, maybe it's a particular health issue that you're going through, a particular relationship issue that you're going through. This always keeps happening, right? And every time you notice it, you react to it the same way you've always reacted to it, and you've perceived it the same way you've perceived it. So to give you an idea of what could happen if you perceived it differently, if you took the same route to work, but all of a sudden, and you can try this, all of a sudden you begin to observe your environment and you start to notice things that you don't typically notice. Maybe you look at the trees differently. Maybe there's an electrical box you've never noticed. Just pay particular attention to your immediate environment. Like even if you're in a room right now, the same things you've been looking at the same way, all of a sudden if you perceive it a different way, that in itself, that perception shift is what leads to an identity shift. So when you start to perceive yourself differently, you look at yourself differently, you begin to see yourself differently, your identity, it shifts. When your internal identity, how you perceive yourself and the world around you shifts, the reality that you experience shifts as well. I'm going to say that one more time. When how you perceive yourself and how you perceive the world around you, your perception shifts, your world shifts as well, your reality shifts as well. So the main way for us to do this is through aligning our hearts and minds together. What does that mean? So if we look at your perception, okay, we look at your perception when it pertains to money. How do you perceive money? Does it make you anxious that you don't have enough? Does it make you anxious that bills are piling up? Or does it make you feel excited to make more? Does it make you feel excited to attract more wealth into your life and what it could unlock for you, right? So moment by moment, what is your attitude or your perception towards money? So you have a thought that there is never enough money, and then you have a corresponding feeling associated with it, right? So the corresponding feeling may be anxiety, like, oh, I'm anxious, there's never enough money, or it may be, ooh, let's go out and make some more money. There's so much money out there, let's go out and make it. So when your thoughts and feelings come together in one of these two particular configurations, whether it's the positive of money's always in abundance and always in plenty, then what do you think will happen? You will shift. Your thought energy will resonate with the sector of reality. So this is the sector of reality. That is you making a shift to a one where it is easy to bring in more money. However, if your thoughts about money are negative, let's say you perceive money to be something that just brings in more. I had a client who, had really bad experiences with money, and she started to view money as bad, right? Like she got into lawsuits and all of these things, and she started to view money as something that is disdainful, right? It just creates more, It creates more bondage, which anything in life can create more bondage, can create more karma. It's about how you handle it, right? Your response to it. So she viewed money as something that's evil, and then she ended up destitute, right? Because she was very, very wealthy. She had luxury cars, luxury life, everything. But then she ended up in a position where she could not afford the things that she wanted to, right? Because of her hatred towards money, because money from her perception, money had ruined her life. She had blamed money for ruining her life, right? So then she shifted to this particular reality where, it's negative. So we have a positive and a negative. So then she attracted situations where there was less and less money available to her, right? So that's kind of what happens when your perception is in one particular configuration or another. So these shifts are determined by the coherence in your heart and mind. So now you might be asking, Quazi, how do I change my perception to money? Well, when you perceive something, there is a subject and there is an object, right? Your perceptions have been collected throughout life experiences. You've had certain experiences and you have related to them, subject-object relationship, in a particular way with an emotional intensity. For example, if something really traumatic happens, deep down you're like, oh, I'm never going to let that happen again. You touch a hot stove, you feel intense pain. There is an emotional intensity. That pain is really strong. It stores itself in your subconscious, to which you say, I will never do that again, right? So you have collected these experiences throughout life, which have stored themselves deeply in your psyche, in your subconscious, and you live from them. You act from them, just like my client did who ended up destitute. She perceived money as really bad because all of these horrible things have happened to her and her family and her relationships, and she's blamed money for all of her misfortunes, right? So when that happens, you view it as evil, then it will show up as more evil in your life, okay? If you want to make a shift in your reality, if you want to change this perception, this attitude you have towards money, you've been doing it, you've been forming these attitudes while you're awake. They've stored themselves deeply in your nervous system. How do we reprogram the nervous system? One easy way to do this is through the act of visualization. Okay? So there are two main types of visualization I advise my clients to use to change their relationship with money. Number one is called goal visualization. And I think this is going to be the most important one to change your attitude towards money. What this looks like is you simply, before bed, Neville Goddard talks about this all the time, the law of assumption, right? Before bed, you visualize an ideal scene in your life, an ideal day in your life, and how money is flowing in, how there is an abundance of everything that you've ever wanted in your life. Everything is in plenty, right? And you feel those associated feelings. You deeply, deeply feel them in your heart. And you sink to sleep in that state. Because around, I think it's 30 minutes before you fall asleep and 30 minutes right after you wake up, your brain waves are slowed down, you get into the alpha brainwave state, okay? So if you can condition in a thought and a feeling right there and feel it strongly, chances are it will get deeper and deeper into your subconscious. In another video, we're going to talk about upgrading beliefs. I do this with my paid clients in our program, but that is a very long topic. But I think for now, this is enough for you to simply sink into sleep feeling great about it. Now, what's going to happen is when you goal visualize, you visualize the goal of where you make plenty of money and you are living the life that you want to live, inevitably you will feel this resistance. It will feel a little bit unnatural. Why? Because it just doesn't feel real. It feels like you're lying to yourself. That's fine. Lie to yourself until it becomes the truth. Seriously. If you keep lying to yourself, it's going to become the truth. Because think about it. You have lied to yourself to getting to this point that you are today, right? You came into this earth an empty slate, and then you have been fed lies by the government, social media, society, your experiences, how you perceive them. Those are lies. You may say, oh no, those aren't lies. That's the negative is what's true. The negative is just as true as the positive, right? You just chose to keep believing those lies because why do we do that? Why do we have a natural tendency towards the negative? It's a survival mechanism. If we have low expectations, we don't expect much, then we won't be disappointed, right? It's our expectations that disappoint us. So then we try to keep our expectations low and we say, oh, you know what? It's probably not going to work out anyway. Oh, you know, money's probably not going to come anyway. Oh, you know, there's probably going to be a bill that's going to come and wipe me out again, you know, because there's never enough money, right? The ego just likes to be right. And as long as the ego is right, it survives and it convinces you that you are alive. It keeps you safe. It keeps you tucked in your comfort zone, even though you may be having a miserable life. The ego doesn't care if you have a miserable existence or a great existence. It just cares that you exist. And it will exert the least amount of energy just to keep you alive. And typically, exerting the least amount of energy is keeping you stuck in your comfort zone. Okay? It's interesting how the ego works, isn't it? So, visualizing the goal. I know I told you there's two main types of visualization, but we won't even move on to process visualization. I've talked about it before in my other videos, but I think if you are someone who's trying to change this pattern, 80% of your time should be spent visualizing the goal. You have one particular scene, your ideal scene, your dream, your goal, life, okay? You're just going to visualize that, a day in the life. And you may have different scenes in that life. Guys, I'm telling you this, I visualized a decade ago, waking up in my mansion in LA next to the woman of my dreams, doing what I love. I have a red Ferrari, you know, I go downstairs, I forget the keys, my partner throws me the keys to the Ferrari and I drive off into town. 8 years later, I believe, or 10 years later, I'm not even sure at this point what the timeline was, I literally just bought my Ferrari. And back then, I shit you not, when I was visualizing that, no Ferrari in sight. I was supposed to go into a 9-to-5 job, earn $50,000 a year, have health insurance benefits, all that, but it was miserable. But then shortly after that, I shifted reality completely, quit my job, started this business, started making YouTube videos, doing coaching, and I hit my first $1 million year in 2020, right? So I became a millionaire at the age of 23, 24. I couldn't have fathomed that, right? I just literally couldn't have fathomed that that would ever happen. So the life that I envisioned, one for one, the life that I'm living today. The Ferrari's not red, it's blue, but I think I like it in blue better, right? But for me, it's like much better than I could have ever imagined it, right? So goal visualization is crucial. Visualizing the goal every single day. Morning, you wake up, you visualize the goal. At nighttime, before you fall asleep, you visualize the goal. For those of you who always sit on the fence, you're like, oh, does this stuff even work? God, I've been trying this for so long. I promise you, if you do the right things, it works. The main thing people miss, there's 4 main pillars to it. I'm going to explain to you later. I'm going to give you a video to watch after it, but this is one of the main things, is learning to achieve heart and mind coherence, override those previous patterns, override them by continually wiring yourself with new patterns, right? New ways of viewing the same thing that you've been viewing. The way you shift your reality is by viewing the same thing you've been viewing in a new way, okay? This is key. So, part 2 to this. The second thing you must understand. Why is there a person here looking really confused wearing a backwards hat? Okay, here's why. The next thing you need to do once you've begun visualizing the goal and you have heart and mind coherence is opening yourself up to the unknown and living in uncertainty. So for the first time in my life, I have no goals. Truly. I have some goals, things that I would like to aspire to, things that I'm excited to see happen every single day, things that I'm excited to work on. But in terms of an attachment to a goal, I don't really have any, right? It's not like set in stone, like I need this and I need that and my life needs to be perfect and regimented. I used to be like that. Everything changed for me in 2025. So as I've grown and matured in my spiritual journey, I was talking about this with my community. At first, when I started, everything was regimented. Everything was so serious. Everything was life or death, right? And I was constantly anxious, constantly stressed out. But I was still able to build something from that place. But then as the years went by, more and more challenges started to show up. It felt like I was pushing against an invisible wall, and I was able to unattach more and more. As I deepened my awareness, my spiritual journey, I was able to unattach more. And that's when even better things started to come into my life. Things that I didn't even expect to come into my life came into my life. So an example I can give you is earlier this year, I had big plans and big goals to grow the business, but then I realized, I could grow my business to like $300,000 a month, $500,000 a month, $1 million a month. But do I really want that? Like, is this the business that I actually want to grow to that level? And when I really thought about it, it was like I was fighting against another part of myself because I'd always wanted that. Like I'd always wanted to be, like that was the next milestone, right? Like, I want to make $1 million a month. I've made $100,000 a month, $200,000 a month. I've made a $300,000 a month before. But do I really want to, like, that's the next milestone, right? Like I have to aim for that. But then all of these challenges started to happen with staff turnover, traffic slowing down for us at the beginning of the year. Ever since ever since the elections, like in November, like right after Black Friday. And then I was like, this is happening for a reason, right? And so at first it was really, really uncomfortable because I couldn't understand what God or the universe was trying to tell me because I was hell-bent on my mission, right? So you have your mission, your plan, and then God has completely different plans for you, right? And then I made the intention that the next path be revealed to me. And then we started to attract traders, like trading clients. And then, to my coaching. And I realized, oh, okay, maybe God is trying to tell me something that I should work with traders because our trading clients were getting amazing results. And so then I was like, okay, let's pivot our strategy to attract more traders. But then I was like, okay, if I want to attract more traders, I should learn more about trading myself. Then I made the intention to learn trading. One of my clients literally offered to help me for free, teach me how to futures trade. And then I think I must have shared this. My barber was cutting hair. He was like, dude, I found this guy whose hair I cut. He grew his account from like $300,000 to $3 million in like a couple of years. And I was like, that's awesome. Are you doing it too? He's like, yeah, dude, I haven't lost any money yet. For the last 3 months, I've just been making like 15% on whatever I invested. I'm like, holy shit, what are you doing? It's like options trading. I'm like, great, sign me up. And so it's like all of these synchronicities kind of happened. And then I, was able to use trading to now, like I think last month I made like 65K trading in my third month of trading, just selling options. I shared this before, by the way, on the channel. And what I realized was because I was in the right state of being, the right psychology, because that's why traders fail, is the psychology isn't in the right place. The mindset is in the right place. They're acting from greed. It's too serious. They need to make money. And that's why they lose. It's never the strategy. The strategy, the plan only accounts for like 7%. 93% of it is psychology, it's mindset, right? And that's why 93% of traders never succeed. Even though two people use the same strategy, one person succeeds and the other person doesn't, because impatience, over-leveraging, revenge trading, all of these things that come from greed or come from fear. So I realized because I'd been doing this work for so long, this was literally the perfect avenue for me now, because I've gained a lot more control over myself throughout the last decade of doing this work. And so then I was able to fully, very, very quickly scale up my account. And what happened was I realized, oh, okay, now I see what's happening. I want to have like a boutique business, coaching, where I actually literally just work with a handful of people very, very closely to get them amazing results. Because honestly, if I just quit my business and did trading full time, which I could do at this point, I wouldn't be fulfilled because I like working with people. So then I realized this business, this YouTube channel, everything here, it truly has to be a hobby. Like this is literally just a hobby. Like me working with people, doing mentorship is genuinely because I want to work with people, and results like these, like our client Vishaka just posted one of her success story today, and how she like completely changed her life in a year and a half of working with us, had a record month, was able to quit her job, make 15K a month in October. All of these kinds of results are possible because A, we truly care about our clients, and B, it's all focused on the core principle, which is you showing up as your ideal self. So why I say this is because I didn't perceive this to be the path. I'm living in uncertainty every single day, dude. Like I don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. You know, it's an adventure. Every single day is an adventure. Every single day it feels like I'm living in a dark room and I'm trying to figure out where the light is, right? But that's what makes it fun. You know, if you always know what's going to happen, you're always certain what's going to happen is you're going to rely on yourself to succeed, right? The burden falls on your shoulders, as opposed to surrendering and living in faith and saying, you know what? I don't know what's going to happen, but I have faith that God is going to take care of everything. How freeing is that? Just feeling that. How freeing is that feeling of, hey, I don't know what's going to happen today, but I know whatever happens, it's for the best, right? Now, the burden of responsibility is no longer on your shoulders, okay? So live in uncertainty every single day. Live every single day as though it's a dark room. Because what do you think happens in uncertainty? When I was in that place of uncertainty and I didn't know, guys, I'm not lying to you when I say this. Some of the greatest things in my life have always happened at my darkest time. That's when it showed up. During my darkest moments, my darkest hours, the night is always darkest before the dawn, right? So that's when the greatest things in my life that I've ever experienced, the ideas, the changes, the shifts, whatever it is you're going through right now, however dark it is, stay frosty. Keep your eyes and ears peeled because something is showing up for you. Today is 11/11 as I make this. It's an odd coincidence, but live in uncertainty. And I have to train myself to live in uncertainty every single day. Because what happens is, as soon as you start seeing results, the ego takes over and it starts to protect and it starts to think that you are this hot shot, and then you start to sabotage yourself, and then the cycle goes on. So every single day, it's a conscious effort to humble myself, to become more open. Because you can only receive if you're open. So this is where this uncertainty comes in. The next thing is acting outside of your comfort zone, stretching comfort zone. Now, I'm going to share a ridiculous example with you that you are going to think is super ridiculous, but I view myself as a responsible person, right? So in 2020, when I made my first $1 million, I didn't immediately go out and buy a Ferrari. I could have. I easily could have manifested that dream 5 years ago, but I didn't. What I did instead was I paid $300,000 in taxes because of New York City, and it sucked. And then I moved out. So I made a responsible financial decision to cut down my tax liability, if you will, and moved to Florida. And then I worked on investing the money or putting it away or saving, keeping cash, because at that time I believed like I needed to hold as much cash as possible because that's what my business mentor told me. And I think by like mid 2021, I literally had $1 million in cash just sitting in my bank account, and I didn't deploy it until like 2022. I started to learn how to invest money properly, diversifying it, and then, I still didn't buy a Ferrari, right? Every single year I was making $1 million, 1.2, 1.3, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, every single year, like clockwork, just making $1 million a year. Never, ever, ever. Like the most expensive thing I bought was probably a watch, like a $50,000 watch, a couple of $50,000 watches, but I never bought a car. I just thought it was stupid. It was like a depreciating asset. Like as soon as I drive it off the lot, it's going to depreciate in value until 2025. So this year I finally bought it because I've wanted to get it and I wanted to fulfill that dream. But it was very, very uncomfortable for me to do so, because it kind of went against everything, right? And it was like, I don't know if this is the right time. Maybe I should wait a little bit longer. But then I was just like, you know what? Fuck it. Just do it. Get this out of your mind. It was a really uncomfortable thing for me to do. So I stretched my comfort zone. And I'm telling you, every single day, as soon as I sat in the car, I was like, it was worth every single penny. It was worth it. Because you feel a different way when you are living in abundance. You feel more abundant. Every single day, I step into that car, I drive it, I feel like a different person. It fuels that identity of abundance, right? It makes you feel wonderful. When you own nice things, it makes you feel, every time you wear it, like clothing, like you'll notice I wear like really nice clothes because every time I wear it or every time I look at my watch, it immediately gets me into that state of abundance. When I look at nice things and art around me, and I think maybe this is my persona, like I like to be surrounded in beauty, right? Maybe that's how men are, but maybe that's how I particularly am. I appreciate art, but not in the traditional sense, like not looking at a painting. Of course, I enjoy a nice painting and nice art, but I'm talking about like I look at my expression, my life, and my environment as an expression of my being. It's art, right? And so when I look at these things and I appreciate them and I appreciate nice things, it gets me into that state. So I use environment to get into state, right? So when I can get into state, I can create and manifest from a better place. You see what I mean? So if you've been holding off on getting that handbag, if you've been holding off on getting that nice thing, don't get it if it's going to make you broke. Like, that's why I didn't get the Ferrari in 2020, because hey, if I made $1 million and I'm paying 300K in taxes and I've spent like maybe an additional 200K and I have 500K left over, I'm not going to buy a $250,000 car. It would just be silly, right? But now it's like, hey, I have plenty of like invested capital. I could easily buy this car. You know, it's like, it's not a big deal. And so I went ahead and pulled the trigger on it. And it's, you know, like if you want to buy something nice for yourself, there's a great story about this in Florence Scovel Shinn's book, actually. It's called The Game of Life and How to Play It, about a man who, and I don't recommend this, the man literally had $6,000 and he spent $5,000 on a coat. And he said, no, I'm going to spend this money on this coat and it's going to help me make more sales because it's going to help me feel abundant. As soon as he got the coat, he literally started selling like a maniac, right? And he like made that money back like this, literally like this. So I believe that's what the Ferrari's unlocked for me, is like, you know, already it's been great marketing, right, for the business. But in general, just how it makes me feel when I'm driving it. So if you've ever wanted something nice, definitely do that for yourself. But I think what the point I'm trying to make here is always stretch your comfort zone. I actually pulled the trigger on this because I knew that if I just backed out, because I had many thoughts of backing out during like closing, right? There's a lot of obstacles with Ferrari, with like the financing company. And, you know, we just went back and forth. I was like, you know, I'm just going to like not do it. But I knew that if I didn't do it, I wouldn't respect myself. I would know that I've let myself down. And so whenever you do something and you feel like you're moving backwards, one decision is going to feel like a backwards movement and another decision is going to feel like a forwards movement, even though it feels uncomfortable. You have to do it, dude. No matter how uncomfortable it is, you have to be able to make the decision that makes you look at yourself at the end of the night and say, I'm fucking proud of you, dude. Quazi, John, Jane, I'm so proud of you that you did this. You didn't want to do this, you're going to back out, but you did it anyways, and I'm proud of you, right? So that's ultimately what needs to happen, is every single day do things that are so uncomfortable, that stretch your comfort zone, that make you proud of yourself, okay? So thank you for watching this. I have made a complimentary video to this, the identity shifting process. So if you click right here, you'll be able to access that and watch it in full. If you're new to the channel, leave me a comment, or you're not new to the channel, just let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm always looking through this. I told you this. I literally work with like 20 clients maximum every single month, and I'm looking to work with clients who are the perfect fit, that we can get amazing results like we did for Vishaka, and people who are serious, they're looking to invest in themselves. We get thousands of applications every single month, and literally people complain. They're like, hey, you know, no one took my call. No, you know, you canceled my call. I'm sorry, like I can only take 20. And if I can only take 20 out of 1,000 clients every single month, you can do the math. Like our acceptance rate is probably lower. it's definitely lower than Harvard. So I apologize, but if you find that you're an entrepreneur, business owner, or a trader, and you really want to take your income to the next level, you're making 5-6 figures and you want to really, really grow, I encourage you to just click on the link in the description below to apply, and you'll be able to schedule a consultation call with me to see if it's a fit. But otherwise, I try my best to provide as much as I can with these free videos, and I'll continue to provide value as long as I can. Just leave me a comment, and I'll try my best to answer any questions that you have. But yeah, if you wanted to join, get a taste of our mentorship without any kind of like application or like enrollment process, our Reality Creator Academy is open for enrollment. I think it's like $200 or $250 a month. You can cancel anytime. The link for that is also going to be in the description. But yeah, otherwise, I will see you soon. Thank you for watching. Till next time. Peace.